We are in a lucky position. And why is that? It's because my great friend, the talented, the musician, though I guess the winosaur, but all in all, an expert in a lot of great things and most importantly, good vibes. But Marcos Lopez is on the Productive Conversations podcast. Thank you so much for joining me, Marcos. What's going on?
It's a pleasure to be here. Of course, it's a pleasure to be anywhere, really.
So. Tell me about it, man. Tell me about it. What's up, brother? How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Bit of a busy day at work, but I'm doing good. I'm good to be here. Yeah.
All right, perfect. Marcus, you have a really interesting job. Why don't we start off with that? Do you mind explaining? You are involved in the wine business at this moment, correct?
Right. Yeah, I guess my job is kind of interesting. It's interesting to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I work for a company called Olé & Obrigado, and our company imports Spanish and Portuguese wines, but within the tri-state area, we also self-distribute these wines. So I previously worked for them 5 years ago for a temporary stint, which was awesome. And starting June, somebody left because of COVID, and I was always in touch with the people there. I know the owner and I have a great relationship with him. And I said, hey, I can take his job because he left. So I filled in and then I started doing sales. So I do logistics and I also do sales. So lately I try to sell wine part-time to retailers mostly and some restaurants. So it's been cool. I'm still adapting, but it's awesome. And sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I'm like, what am I doing? But I constantly have to remind myself that I'm very lucky to be in this industry because it's combines a lot of interesting things like history, culinary, culture, science, even though I don't really like science, and just business. So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of cool.
Cheers. Excellent to that. Oh, man. So, well, I think it's pretty cool. You help so many people out who need their wine. Drink it responsibly, of course. And, may I just ask some practical wine questions that really interest me? Like, what to you?
I'll try to help.
So there's red wine and white wine and white wine.
Or white wine.
Is there any other wines that I'm missing here? That's the two squads that break up.
Well, obviously, there's also rosé.
Okay, rosé.
I mean,
cups of the rosé, as Drake would
I like to say that rosé kind of starts out as a red wine, but then ends up being a white wine. But I'll get into that later if you like. There's orange wine, which hipsters love.
Really? There's an orange wine?
Yeah, it's not made of oranges. It's just a skin contact white wine. So it's kind of like a white wine that's made with white wine grapes, but it's kind of made like a red wine. It's kind of bitter. It's funky. It tastes very strange. I enjoy them, but that's really a Brooklyn thing.
Yeah.
Very much Bushwick, Williamsburg, maybe Silver Lake, Los Angeles kind of thing,
Orange. I've never heard of such a thing. I might go and search for it this weekend simply because you brought it up and give a review for it.
You should do it, man. But yeah, there's also sparkling wine, there's sherries.
Okay, so there is a wide variety. What to you, Marcos, is your personal favorite wine?
It's always changing. A lot of people have a favorite. I don't really have a favorite. I guess I like a lot of Burgundian style wines, a lot of like lighter reds, or even interesting heavy whites. I don't really care. Just as long as it's interesting, just as long as it's complex. Plus, one thing you'll probably understand, or the viewers will get from this interview, is that I'm kind of indecisive, and my mind just kind of goes all over the place, and I'm always willing to try anything. And yeah, so I don't make up my mind on a set favorite. It's always evolving.
Well, we appreciate your great mind, Marcos, and excited to explore it during this podcast and more. But just two other things regarding wine. One, which one are you supposed to refrigerate? There's one you're supposed to refrigerate and one you're supposed to not.
Typically you'd chill whites, rosés, sparkling wines, but there are some reds, like very light reds, that you can chill for a bit.
Okay, by the way, I say chill.
Maybe-
I learned
Yeah, if they're
something new every
carbonically
time.
macerated, don't ask me what that means because I'm not a scientist and
Mhm.
I won't be able to give you a good explanation. But a lot of those wines you can chill. A lot of light wines, a lot of shit like that, you know.
Cool, cool. And last but not least, is it true, Marcos, that wine ages better than anything else? Or I should, well, is it true that wine gets better with age?
Uh, yes and no, but I'd say mostly no. There's a lot of wine that you should drink now. It's good to ask your wine retailer because they should know. Rosés, for example, should not be aged. You need to drink those stat. Um, After a year or two, you'll notice that they just become shittier. Most of them. There are some ageable whites. A lot of them you shouldn't age. And reds generally are more likely to be aged, but not always. So it really depends, really.
Really? Well, how about that? I love debunking myths with my great friend Marcos Lopez. I mean, that's pretty cool, actually. So,
Real quick,
yes.
let me just say, because a lot of people don't know this, and it's like just the difference between red and white wine. Red wine gets aged with the skins, whereas white wine, you get the grapes, they're juiced, and then the juice is aged without the skins. So the color that you see in red wine and all those tannins, that's all from the skins being always involved. And with
Mm.
rosé, it's aged with the skins for 2 days, then it's juiced, and then they make the wine with just the juice.
Oh, okay. Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know this.
it's
Why don't
kind
we
of
try it out
interesting,
when the
really,
pandemic's
but
over too?
yeah, we can try to make wine with your fam. We'll even dump the grapes with their bare feet.
So they literally do it bare feet, huh?
Not always,
In
like
the big barrel.
not always, but that's not a question for me.
I hear that. Just another thing out related to wine and
Sure,
stuff.
Quentin Tarantino would be into feet wine, but I don't think they're
We'll get a lot of zooms of that and a
Rex
lot of
Ryan
close-ups.
too.
Rex Ryan. Oh man, Marcos, you know how to bartend in this world. You've had experience with it. Um, I don't. Are you bartending at all right at this moment?
I am bartending.
So you are still bartending. Cool, cool.
Yes, once a week on Tuesday nights. I'm at Cellar Bar in Larchmont, New York, named Westchester County's best dive bar by Westchester Magazine a few years. It's really a hole in the wall, like a lot of dive bars, but it's very friendly. And it's the only one of the few places where everyone kind of fits in. Like a total stranger can sit down, nobody looks around, nobody thinks twice, it's fine. And like people make conversations. There's old people there. There's recent college graduates. There's au pairs from Spain and France and Brazil. And they're fun, but they don't tip. Foreigners, and they don't get it. Nobody's explained to them. Yeah, there's rich people, there's bankers, there's lawyers, and then there's you know a lot of steel workers too, which steel workers make a good amount of money, but it's just a much different line. That's what I'm getting
Right.
at. So it's an interesting spot. I'm only there once a week. It's something I do on the side, something that actually helps me out in my regular job because I network a lot and I meet a lot of people. I've actually gotten a lot of accounts through my bartending job. But yeah, I used to bartend full time at a wine bar, and that was a lot different than the dive bar because there's just a much different clientele, wine, cocktails. Now the place I'm at is just a lot more back to basics, which is a lot easier for me. Just mostly Jameson shots and Bud Lights.
Oh, easy. Well, we definitely appreciate you. One of my big mottos in this world from my cousin told me is always tip the bartender. I'm familiar with Larchmont. I used to work at Larchmont. It's about 40 minutes from me. I worked, geez, it was the Compass. I don't know what road it was, but it was a popular one, and it was so relaxing. Like right on the Mamaroneck line, there was this pizza place that was really good there. Wow, let me just Google it if you don't mind, really quick. It was I worked there every weekend for like a year, from like 2018 to 2019. It was on Larchmont Avenue.
Richmond Avenue. The pizza place or the
Or
road?
where I worked. Yeah, the where I worked was there, but
Okay.
it was the pizza place.
Was it Mickey's or Villa Maria?
Villa Maria sounds so familiar.
It was definitely that. Wait, no, that's on Chatsworth Avenue. Where is it?
There was it was across the street from Tequila Sunrise. If that's a I remember
A pizza place?
what a stereotypical name. Right.
Tequila Sunrise. Yeah, I'm friends with the owner of that place. My family is.
What? Oh, I should have
Yeah.
went in and give us a visit. Okay, I'm actually, you know what's funny? I'm doing the Google map real quick, and I'm driving myself. You know how you can press the thing and it goes, and like you're directing like GTA style
Yeah.
driving. I'm just about there. It's across the street from a CVS. Yes, Chatsworth Avenue is the place, and the is right next to the Larchmont Mini Mart.
The pizza
Holy,
place?
yeah,
It's not worth talking about. It's called Villa Maria. It's okay.
yeah, Villa Maria. I even think they might have an MB review. I really
It's
think so.
okay. If you want to go to get pizza anywhere in my area, I would recommend Village Pizza in Mamaroneck or Sal's Pizzeria, which El Prez reviewed at 7.7.
Yeah.
He said if you look up pizza in the dictionary, you get Sal's.
That is a great name for a pizza spot. But anyways, the bartending though.
Yes.
Marcos.
Deviate.
What was one of the cool you said that so you mentioned already that one of the cool things about bartending, not only serving drinks, helping people out in who need a drink and you know, maybe make somebody's day. You said you've told me before that it's really helped you socially. And I mean, you were talking about the clientele, you hit upon it a little bit. You want to walk me through some of the other cool networking skills and just general communication skills you got from being a bartender?
Oh, absolutely. Well, you meet so many people. First of all, it's a fucking great job because you're basically getting paid to hang out. Yes, I do have a skill set that not everybody has, and that's part of the job. Absolutely. That's why not everybody can do it. But essentially, with the exception of some busy nights where you're hauling ass, you're essentially getting paid to hang out and talk to people. And it's such a great feeling,
Mhm.
especially when you walk out with a handful of untaxed cash.
Oh
Uh,
yes.
which anyway, everybody's gonna get their W-2 soon. Let's
Hmm.
forget I said that. But yeah,
Yes, that
maybe
that,
I
that
should
did
talk
sound
about
good.
how I started bartending. To be honest,
Yeah, yeah. How did you get into it? What made you decide to become a bartender? And did you like go
well,
to mixology school or anything like that?
I took a course just for like random education, but I couldn't. I didn't become a bartender until years later. I took a course when I was 20 years old, and which is over 10 years ago now. So anyway, I worked at a hotel in Spain, and I was a receptionist. But occasionally, for room service, they would order alcohol, and I would go to the bar because we didn't have a full time bar. It was just like a little area where we had drinks, and I would pour the drinks or make cocktails like a gin and tonic or a brandy, and I would just deliver it to them room service. This was back in 2014.
Mm.
But that wasn't really bartending. It was just like part of my job. That was very much improvised. A lot of great stories from that. Actually, no, just one or two really good stories from that. But anyway,
What happened? We can sidetrack really quick.
Oh, well, I met this Welsh couple on my second last day. I gave them like, I should have given them like brandies like that and a snifter. I gave them like that. And they were really happy. And then they invited me back to their place and we just like partied all night.
There's
Uh,
the two, you two and you.
yeah. It was, well, one of my friends too. It was it was the biggest suite in the hotel. Then we went out and yeah, we just had a crazy night that I won't get into. I wouldn't want to. Anyway, fast forward to 2018. I lived in LA and I came back from LA with no job, no money, and I was hanging out at the Cellar Bar where I work now, because that's always been like my hometown's dive bar, and I was with a friend, and I was like, shit, man, like I just come back from LA, burned a bunch of money, didn't have a job, and they're like, well, they're hiring. I was with a really good friend of mine, Nick, and he was like, well, actually, they're looking for a bartender. And I was like, yo, I could do that. And I knew some of the guys there. And they're like, yeah, we'll totally vouch for you. So I started bartending there a little bit. And then I ended up bartending for another former employer of mine who was a wine retailer and was opening a wine bar and wine and cocktail bar. So yeah, so that's when I really got into it. And that was my full-time job for like 2 years.
All right.
Yeah, which is kind of weird, but yeah.
Well, you're making us proud for sure, Marcos. That's really fascinating. That's really fascinating.
You asked about networking and how it helps your social life and whatnot.
Yes, please get into that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you have to deal with so many kinds of people where quickly your social skills were developed, even if you already have good social skills. You deal with difficult people, you deal with cool people. But all in all, it's an awesome job because generally people have to be nice to you because they're getting their drinks from you. The dudes have to be nice to you, and you also get hit on by girls a lot. So that's pretty awesome.
How about that?
I definitely flirt with a lot of ladies on the job. However, when I did work at the wine and cocktail bar, it wasn't always like that. I got a lot of what I call Pinot Grigio bitches, which is just like older white ladies who think that they're fancy, but they don't really have a good palate, so they just end up having Pinot Grigio and they ask for 2 ice cubes in it. A lot of difficult people.
I'm so rich.
Yeah, also our bar, we refused to work with Southern or Empire, which are the 2 biggest distributors, so we didn't have big brand liquors. And this really confused a lot of fucking people, man. We did not have Tito's, we did not have Jack Daniels, we did not have Jameson, we did not have Old Bond, we did not have Hendrix, we did not have Tanqueray. We had only small brands because that's the way my boss would run his store. Because it was a boutique store. And if you're running a store, that's awesome because that's a really cool fucking store then. But at a bar, people get fucking confused. They do not understand. Having to explain this things to people, they look at you like you're speaking a different language, like, and then they look at their friends, they're like, Karen, oh my God, they don't have Tito's. Or the big dude, like the big, rich, aggressive dude who's like, oh, I need an Oban. I want a Macallan 12. You want a Macallan 12? How am I supposed to show my friends that I got a big dick even though it's just 2 inches? So yeah, that was a little bit more difficult. I can relax now, and I just talk to people. I'm basically a therapist, and I just for Jameson's now. It's pretty cool.
You like Mo from Simpsons. You really do have people who come and like tell you like so many people's stories and what they're going through, and you
yes,
do more than just be like that.
I'd like to think I'm more charming and handsome than Mo.
I think so, Marcos. I think so.
I hope so.
Marcos, one of the things you mentioned, you lived in Spain. Why don't we get into that? So, when did you live in Spain? And what's it like? And when and where did you live in Spain? And tell me, what is it like to live in a whole other country such as Spain versus living here in the United States?
So I lived in Spain in 2014. I got there in February of 2014, not too long after I graduated college.
Now that is a journey.
It was a journey, and it was fucking strange, and it was, yeah, so my folks are from northern Spain. Because of my job, I have a map right here. I just happen to have it. So my folks are from northern Spain, mostly here in Galicia. And my mom's from, like, around the Basque Country, around here. Anyway, I ended up moving to Seville in southern Spain. And as a kid, we'd always fly into Madrid, then drive up to Galicia, visit my father's family and my grandparents, and go visit my mother's mother, my grandmother, over here in Santander. And then we'd go over to Valencia sometimes, where we had an apartment, and we'd go to the beach. I only stuck around here. I didn't really go to Andalusia, which is the southern part of Spain. And it's basically like an entire different fucking country, man.
Really?
The culture is different, climate's different, and the people and society is much different. So even though I've been to Spain so many times, it was very much a culture shock for me.
Yeah. What was the biggest thing you had to adjust as a culture shock? What was the most major thing that you had to get used to?
The fact that I was not accepted as a Spaniard. I was considered a foreigner.
Yeah.
Even though I always felt Spanish, and that was always part of my identity, I always thought I was Spanish. When I got to Seville, people did not treat me that way one bit. And I was like kind of a scapegoat in the hotel I worked at. The receptionists, my fellow receptionists, they were cool because they've studied, they've all gone to different countries, they all spoke different languages. But man, did the waiters and the chefs, some of the housekeepers, they really fucking laid into me, man. I was their scapegoat. I was like the foreign young kid who didn't know what he was doing, who just happened to get a temporary job there. And they really fucking dug into me.
Oh, man, so you really had to earn your place. You had to gain respect, huh?
I don't think I ever really got a place there, to be honest. I never, yeah, that was a shitty job. I was overworked, very overworked. But it was a great learning experience, I guess. I went to a city where I didn't really know anybody. I knew one person, and she happened to work at my mother's office for a little bit. She was a little bit older than me. She showed me around, and then she left to go back to New York to have another job. So I was pretty much alone, man. And it was strange. I wasn't as self-aware as I was now. I wasn't as confident. And I was still holding on to a lot of shit in my past at that moment. Even a recent like heartbreak or a one who got away situation. So it was a heavy and weird kind of experience, but it was cool. I got to travel all over Spain. I took whenever I had like a weekend off, I'd go to different cities all over southern Spain. I went to Morocco for a weekend. And yeah, it was cool. I met a lot of interesting people, but like a lot of things in my past and a lot of things in other people's past, if I was a little more self-aware and confident, it would have been a much different time. But we have to have those experiences in order to become who we are now.
Yeah, Marcos, preach about that. I feel that way, especially over the past few years myself. And yeah, it's so weird. I don't want to say like those type of things in life, the quote unquote regret. I mean, we're human. We low key have things we regret, but you just wonder, could you be in your real confident place you are now if you didn't go through that? I think about that all the time. Yeah.
No doubt, no doubt. Those are real things that I think everybody goes through.
Yeah, man.
Some more than others.
But hey, it makes us better people, makes us more lovable, especially when you're the great Marcos Lopez or me, the great Matt Brown. It's worth going through these times to remember that. You know, there's something worth learning every time.
Hundo P.
And just my last Spain question. I've heard this for a long time. Is it true they really do party hard in Spain? Like, you don't start pre-gaming till midnight. You don't go out till 2 a.m., like 4 a.m. That's early. Is this true? That's what I hear, that you really go all
100%.
out.
100%. In Spain, it's normal to have dinner at 10 p.m. It really is, even old people. My grandma goes to bed at midnight. It's just normal. Yeah, and if you're going out, I guess you start going out at midnight. Midnight. And I don't think you go to the discotheque. You don't go to the club until like 2 or 3 in the morning.
Like,
Yeah.
and it is in real time there, 2 in the morning in Spain.
Yes.
Huh.
Not our time, their time.
Yeah.
And it's very common that you get home at 7 or 8 in the morning. That's normal. It's not very practical because everybody has to work, and I'm glad things aren't like that now here, because you kind of waste a Sunday. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At 7 in the morning, like, what did you do all Sunday? You didn't do shit. You woke up at like 3. You're hungover.
Your day's about to be over. Yeah, the sunlight's coming down depending what time of the year. I hate even going out, you know, pre this pandemic, and I assume definitely post. I hate going out so late to see the sunrise. Like, I am angry if I see the sunrise. If I'm up all night. I mean, I'll wake up early to check it out, but like if I'm up all night and I see the sunrise and the cityscape, I'm gonna say, "Oh, fuck me." You feel that way?
If that happens, either you need to have gotten laid, you need to have like met like somebody famous or something crazy had to have happened, or you just need to be with really good friends and it was just all worth it. And it's
You're
just
right.
like one of those memories that you'll never forget. But how often, well, in general, if those things don't happen, then no, I would not want to be up at sunrise.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you. Though, as long as it's one of those,
If there's sex involved, then I guess I'll watch the sunrise fine.
You know what? I will agree with you with that. If one of those 3 things happen, whether you get laid, whether you are just hanging out with somebody rare that's a famous celebrity, or you're just with your buddies or your squad or friends, then you're right. That's one of the few times it's worth it. But if it's just like one of those nights where you're just, I don't know, just being unproductive all late that night, you miss out. But, you know, usually one of those 3 things will happen, I could say. But that's just, boy, when we have those days again, whenever that's going to be, right?
Yes, it has to be a productive night out, like productive conversations with Matt Brown.
Productive litness. That is, I'm totally coining that. One of the things you mentioned, Marcos, is you lived in Los Angeles, California. You know what it's like to live in both LA and New York City for a substantial amount of time. Tell me about, first, before we get into LA, tell me about what the major difference is between living in the West, living in the East, living in the biggest city, living in the second biggest city in America. What's it like to live in these 2 meccas?
Well, I grew up right outside of New York, so I'm very used to it. And to be honest, New York impresses me less and less each day, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
The biggest difference between New York City and Los Angeles, and it's huge difference. It's a big difference between most cities in Los Angeles, is that New York City, everything's kind of, you can get places, even though it's a very big place. As long as you have 275, you can get to anywhere in the city.
You really can, yeah.
You take that metro, you take the subway, it might take 50 minutes, but you can go anywhere. There's also a central place where everyone can go. whether they're from the Bronx, Queens, or Brooklyn, or Harlem, or the Battery. You can meet in Manhattan, and it's not a problem. You can meet in Union Square, in East Village, in Midtown. In Los Angeles, there's no central place, and there's no good public transportation, and it's so much bigger than New York City. It's sprawling. It's an entire county. It's like a suburban, urban county.
Yeah. If you really think about it, the boroughs are just mini cities in their own. If you really think about it.
Yes, but in Los Angeles, like even within the 5 boroughs of New York City, that's small compared to LA. Because New York City is built upwards. We have so many skyscrapers. Los Angeles, not so much. It's just spread out. It's so spread out. And there's no central place like a Manhattan, where pretty much most cities have like a downtown area. You're like in there or you're in the outer part of the city. Like in New York, it would be anything between 60th Street and Soho. That's not the biggest amount. It's a big amount of space, but it's like that's the middle of Manhattan, almost towards downtown. And yeah, it's easy to get to. You can even hop in a cab. You can get from 60th to Soho or to Houston Street or Union Square in no time. Los Angeles doesn't really have that. Like there's Hollywood, there's Santa Monica, there's downtown, but the downtown has never really been downtown. It's the oldest part of Los Angeles. It's the Los Angeles, but it's bad saying that, now downtown is being gentrified. Like, how often does that happen in a city where the downtown, where the buildings are being gentrified? It's like, usually that's the middle, and then everything else starts getting cleaned up outside. But downtown LA is a shithole. So it's weird. That was one difficult thing about LA, where I had friends in the Valley, up north in the Valley, and I had friends in, whatever call the south of LA. What the fuck do you call it?
South Central LA?
No. It's escaping me. There's like a general term for like the south of LA. Anyway, I had friends in both those places, and like to meet up with them, you really have to plan this like a week in fucking advance, dude, or 2 weeks in advance. You need to know where we're gonna meet, how we're gonna get there, how far it is from you, how far it is from me. If there's drinking involved, well, are the Ubers gonna be okay? And it takes fucking forever to get to places. It takes like 40 minutes for them to meet you, and then 40 minutes for you to meet them. And this is all in cars, you know what I mean? Or more. It can take 50 minutes. It's crazy. It's really crazy how spread out it is. So that's the biggest difference.
How about the people wise? I heard sometimes more people in New York are a little more uptight, maybe not as patient, while Los Angeles, I'm not going to attempt to say, I can't say, but Los Angelinians are a little more laid back and relaxed. Is there any truth to that assumption?
Well, I mean, California definitely has a much more laid back vibe. I guess because it takes so long to get to places in LA, but also the weather. I mean, it's just so chill. Like the weather's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess New York. That's the thing I don't like about New York. People in New York are very uptight. At the same time, people in Los Angeles, while there's a lot of normal people, it's true when they say that there's like a superficiality, which also exists in New York, by the way. But in LA, is so influenced by the film industry and social media and whatnot, and influencers, that it really it is a huge part of the culture out there.
Yeah.
And while a lot of people are normal, it's certainly, you can't ignore it. It does influence how people are.
That what was cool about the late Anthony Bourdain show, Parts Unknown. In his 2 LA episodes, it wasn't focused on Hollywood and starlights. It was about the more humble and quote unquote normal life of Los Angeles in like Koreatown or Echo Park and stuff like that. Maybe not like extravagant as a Beverly Hills or a Brentwood, but a more homey feel and take pride in being a Los Angeles person.
Absolutely. You know what? Like, I still feel like I don't really know LA super well because there's so many different places, and it's I mean, it's such a fucking sprawling mess. But I will say, if you do find a neighborhood, maybe a coastal neighborhood or a neighborhood that you are really into, and like you don't have to commute too far, and you got your friends there, and you make good money, and like everything else is chill, I think that would be an awesome lifestyle. I think it would be a great lifestyle.
Yeah.
Um, but you have to find that. It's tough. It's a mess. It's a huge sprawling mess.
But hey, some
And
people make it, huh?
I lived in Hollywood, and
Ooh.
I noticed the difference. Well, Hollywood isn't as nearly. I hear you. Ooh, like ooh, stars and glamour. Hollywood,
Yeah.
it's so disgusting, Matt. It's so nasty.
No, that's what I did here. I know. I when
It's
I went to
so,
LA last October, I saw. I was like, this is what they all are excited about. I mean, it's cool, but
it's cool. It's cool too.
you know,
I mean, I lived right off of Sunset, so it was pretty cool. But like, you see some shit too. It's like
yeah,
dirty and like glamorous at the same time. It's so
that's what
strange.
that was the
It's
thing.
like I don't know. There's a lot of cool places to go to. There's a lot of cool things to see. But anyway, I noticed New York and LA were totally different when I just came back from to New York from LA. And so I got to, I was going to go out. I think the World Cup was happening that summer in 2014. And I was meeting with my friends. I went to, I got off of Grand Central. I was in Midtown. I saw my friends in a bar there, watched the game. And then I walked through Central Park over to the Upper West Side, I think, to see my friends. And I just walked it. It was like a 30-minute walk, 40-minute walk, probably 30, half an hour. And I realized, oh my God, like it was just a half walk through so many neighborhoods. I went from like, 42nd Street to East or West 70th or something like that. And
Yeah.
I even walked through Central Park. If I was in Hollywood and I walked in any direction for 30 minutes, I would still be in Hollywood, bro.
Wow, that is a perspective when you put it that way. As you said, New York will go up, pun intended, but LA will spread itself out. Wow, wow. Can I ask who had the better food to you, New York or LA?
New York,
Hmm.
definitely New York, by far. To be honest, when I was in LA, I think I mostly just ate tacos. Um, yeah.
Hey man, it's a
I
great
mean,
place
there's
to have it.
better tacos, LA, better food in general, New York, because like New York is everything.
Definitely.
And like you can't like really survive in New York if you make shitty food. Like you're not gonna
No, you
last.
can't.
Um, in LA, there's tacos everywhere. I don't know.
Take advantage of it, man. Take advantage.
Yeah.
And I have just read. You ever see the movie Chef?
No.
Oh, it's a great movie. They just he was about an LA chef like coming of age, finding a better place, but he had this food truck, made Cuban sandwiches, and it just looked glorious.
No doubt.
But my last question for you, Marcos, regarding LA and New York, which one do you prefer? If you had all the money in the world, and you could pick one or the other, and live as best of a lifestyle as you can, where are you going?
If I had all the money in the world, it would be LA because I hate winter. I fucking hate winter.
That is
I
a
would,
good
I would have,
enough reason.
I would have a house by the coast, and I would like chill in my neighborhood, in some coastal neighborhood. That's what I would do. I would love that. But
Hey,
LA, I really feel like in LA, you really need to have a specific kind of lifestyle. You need to be surrounded. You need to have a lot of good friends close by, and not super far away. Because if they're far away, you're never going to see them unless you fucking plan. You need to have a good commute. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck in traffic for an hour, which I turned down a job because the commute was going to be 55 minutes each way.
now that's
Um,
something. And that New York the LA traffic too.
that's why. Yeah, that's why. Um, but yeah, I mean, they have great weather. I want to check out San Diego.
Yeah, I hear people love that place who are the few people I know. like to check it out, see what it's like over there too.
Yeah.
Marcos.
Yes. Matt Brown.
Can you talk to me about the new? No, just kidding. Let's talk some basketball. Let's talk some hoops. You are a Nets fan. You go as far as the New Jersey Nets, and then you stayed with us with that team through some hardships. The awful Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett trade. When Joe Johnson was leading you guys, and your loyalty is paying off because you arguably have the best team on paper ever. You have three possible Hall of Fame talented players who are still playing in their prime, and going off a big win yesterday. You must be psyched, man. How does it feel being a Brooklyn Nets fan right now and staying with them through all these years? And now you got essentially probably, if it's not the Lakers, it's you guys who are probably winning this whole thing. How do you feel about it?
Well, as far as the hardships go, it can't be as bad as what you have it, because you're a New York Knicks fan, and you're fairly young. You're younger than me, so I doubt you remember the Patrick Ewing days at all. So really. I think you guys had one good season, probably since you've been following it.
So I would say go as far as two.
All over your wounds, because as far as hardships go, yeah, there have been a lot of bad years, but I don't think we've ever been horrible for over 5 years or so. And when we were really bad, to be honest, I just wouldn't watch, because that's just a waste of fucking time. Why would you watch if your team sucks? Why would you watch them? Why would you go to games? You're giving them money and they suck. Don't give them money and then they'll get their act together and then you can pay them. But anyway, enough about the Knicks. I don't know why people go to those games. New York should just boycott the Knicks in general. But anyway,
we'll have a rebuttal to that.
I'm not basking in this newly acquired super team. I'm not basking in this glory or anything like that, because I have a very sober kind of opinion towards it, because it does kind of remind me of, like you said, the Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce trade, where we acquired Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and Jason Terry for a lot of first-round draft picks.
4 or 5 years.
Yeah, it's not good to give up so many draft picks, as I've learned.
Those picks turned into Jason Tatum and
even
guys like that.
Even
Terry Rozier,
Gerald Wallace in New Jersey. The New Jersey Nets acquired Gerald Wallace for a first round pick, and that first round pick ended up being Damian Lillard too.
Bum, 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 bum.
So another similarity between that trade and now is that we have a Hall of Fame, one of the greatest point guards all time as a rookie head coach. We have Jason Kidd then, we have Steve Nash now.
Yeah, right.
The difference is, and it's a huge difference, we didn't acquire a washed up Kevin Garnett who was on his last legs.
I didn't even care at that point.
Or Paul Pierce, who was also kind of well past his prime. Garnett was horrible then, man. It was so painful to watch him take mid-range twos and sink brick them all the time. It was so sad. It was because Kevin Garnett was so terrifying for so long, and then he's just a shadow of himself on your team. It's oh man, this is cool, but it's not. Now we easily have maybe arguably 2 of the top 3 greatest scorers in the league. I think Steph Curry is also in the top 3. Scorers. I mean, people who can flat out score.
Yeah, and you're talking about Harden and KD specifically.
Yes, because LeBron, I can't put him in the top 3 because even though he's the best, he's also a playmaker. He's a defender. He's so much. But just flat out scorers, Harden and KD are probably 2 of the top 3.
Right.
So I mean, they look good. I'm very sober. I try to view it in a very sober lens.
Mm-hmm.
Pun intended. Yeah, I didn't like the Harden trade when it first happened, to be honest. I didn't like that we gave up Jared Allen. I didn't like that we gave up Karis LeVert.
Mhm.
Jared Allen, especially the draft picks too. I was actually mad when we acquired them. Actually, you're the first person to let me know. I was out
Yes.
in the market on a Wednesday. I was in Manhattan, or I think I was either in the Bronx or Harlem visiting my accounts. And then all of a sudden, I got this, and I was like, "Yo, Matt, stop talking about it, man. You just broke this gate. I need to process this." And I hated it. And then I watched Harden play the first game for us, and my mind just totally I just changed my mind totally
Yeah,
because I saw that he's a playmaker. He can actually fucking pass.
and he's on a team he actually wants to play for too. It seems that a lot of Net fans at first initially felt like you. They were upset, they were angry, they felt their future, their chance at acquiring more players for a great future. And Sean Marks preaching about, oh, this is going to be the culture, working our way up, getting homegrown guys, and then just throw that all out the window. And he lost a lot of first round draft picks. But I have to ask Marcos, is at least one championship worth it if you for everything you gave up for Harden, but you get at least one NBA Finals win? Or do you need multiple
100%.
ones?
100%. No, one is fine. One is we don't have any NBA championships. We have two ABA championships.
Yep. When they were
Which is
played
funny.
Long Island.
One of our fraternity brothers, whose name I won't mention, but his last name rhymes with Lizzo. He laughed at me because he was like, "Hey, when's the last time the Nets won an NBA championship?" I'm like, "They haven't won any." And he starts laughing at me. I'm like, "Dude, since the Nets have joined the NBA in 1977, the Knicks don't have any NBA championships."
You're right. It's a
So
frustrating
both our
time.
NBA championships are more recent than the Knicks to NBA championships.
You know,
And
just
speaking of which, I have a Dr. J bobblehead right here.
greatest net of all time, technically ever. And I mean, even though they played a Long Island net, they were the New York Nets, but played in Long Island. But from bouncing around, he's the best net ever. And yeah, just to defend my point being the Knicks, it's the same as you. I mean, reckon you didn't have to suffer as long as I have, and still suffering. We only made we only made the playoffs twice in the Melo years. The first time we got swept, and the second time ran into the Pacers of Roy Hibbert. It's been embarrassing. It's a
That's a name
genuine.
I haven't heard in a long time.
It's just a genuine flaw of mine. But it's just like for you, stick by it. Someday they're going to be good again. I hope. I can't. My rule is don't complain because the Chicago Cubs had to wait 108 years for a championship. Literally, nobody saw it in both games, not that I know of, and I hope it's not that long. But I don't know.
Matt,
Hopefully, build a core.
Matt,
Have players come here. What? Yep.
128 years, that's over a lifetime.
108 years. But yeah, you're right. So
You're
that's why I
willing
said I
to
hope
wait
it's not that.
108 years for the Knicks
No.
to win an NBA championship? You will wait that long?
I'm just waiting until the day comes, whenever it's meant to be. Who knows? There was a time when the Knicks were pretty ass from the late 70s and 80s, and people waited till the 90s, and then they almost had it. So I don't know. Is it we have to wait every? Well, no, that would be we're now pushing 3 decades. No,
You know what?
4 decades actually now. If you really think about it, but if it's difficult, but I'm just waiting for the day to make it worth it. And as a Net fan, I think you could agree that New York as a whole, this area would be pretty exciting if the Knicks were good. And they say like in the 90s, that's all people talked about was how good the Knicks were. And the Yankees won
I'm sure
3
they
World
talked
Series
about
in the
other
90s.
things too, man.
Right, but it's the importance of staying loyal.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just bad. It's nice that Julius Randle's playing well, but I
Daniel
watched
quickly too.
I watched
Best
your
defense in the league,
podcast.
technically.
I watched your episode with that charming artist chap, Gabriel Mills,
Yes, yes, yes.
and I agreed with him there. You guys also spoke about the Knicks. The Knicks
Course.
are a trophy to not even mediocrity. I guess mediocrity just to be nice. They just suck. They have the worst owner in all of sports. He's a man baby. They're just incompetent. It's sad, and it's sad that they represent New York. And it's sad that they're the number one market. Like they're the highest valued team in the NBA, and they can't make it work. That's so pathetic. Like that's so fucking sad.
You're right. It is, but who knows? Seems that Coach Thibs, that these players like playing for him. Manuel quickly play something.
So at least you guys have that. At least there's no yeah. I don't know.
No saltiness. RJ's actually playing much better. Like I said, quickly's good. Randall, who knows? Probably Randall will get traded in the deadline. Maybe that's his motivation to do well, so he can play for a playoff contender. But hey, he might even come to Brooklyn. He might even go to Brooklyn. What?
I can't talk about the Knicks anymore. I'm gonna barf. They just make me sick. I'm sorry.
Just my last thing isn't it true that James Dolan forced himself to open for the Eagles in Madison Square Garden?
I don't know if that's true, but I totally believe it. Yeah, he's got like a blues band, and he pays all the guys in his band. He imagine that, like you have a play date and like you're like a little kid and you're such a lame ass kid that you need to pay kids to play with you. That's basically what he does. He's like, hey, I want to sing in a blues band. Please, I'll pay you guys, please. It's sad. He's paying for friends.
That is horrifying, man. Just speaking of bands real quick, Marcos, you and I love rock and roll music. You play rock and roll music when you can. You know how to play the bass guitar. You have the Beatles in the background. Do you know how to play regular guitar too?
Oh, I mostly play guitar.
Okay. So you do play both.
A lot of people think I'm a bass player because I guess my picture on social media, my default picture,
exactly.
My profile picture was me playing a bass, so everyone assumes I'm a bass player. No, it's just a good picture of me where I happen to play bass for my really good friend's band. We were in a band called Gorgeous Mornings, and I was the bass player.
Now that's a cool name.
Yeah, it is kind of cool. A lot of my friends didn't like it though. Like a lot of my metal friends or like my hard rock fans. My hard rock friends who I ended up making my own band with, they thought the name was lame, but like it's a beautiful name, Gorgeous Mornings.
What's your favorite part about playing rock music?
I don't know, man. Like, I guess it's like, I don't. Sorry, I don't know how to answer that. It feels good. Like I don't know. Like,
it just feels. Hey, that's your answer.
Yeah, I don't know. It's yeah, there's like a certain energy about it. Actually, I'll actually answer this. I'll actually take the question seriously because it was a real question. I'm sorry. I just thought it was...
No worries.
I enjoy playing music in general with other people because there's like a certain synergy where I don't play music that much anymore because I'm not really friends with the same people I was a couple of years ago that we would always jam with. But I really enjoy getting different energies and different people combine and actually collaborating and creating a synergy where the parts are equal a greater whole, and it's just like very beautiful and it's like so unique. Everyone adds like their own like little thing. There's nothing better than that. It's just really beautiful, and especially when like you all have a good sense of humor like we did in my group. And yeah, unfortunately I'm not really I don't really hang out with those guys anymore, but we had a band called Harry Chronic Jr.
You with the great band names. I love it. But yeah, I admired that. It's a team effort and just create an entertaining and, actual musicianship to it as well, and instrumentation. It's just so much fun. And that's why it's nice to see that, obviously in the pre-COVID world. And I think eventually, once this all pans out, that you can, that people still love going to see rock music live in particular. And that's what I particularly go for. I love live albums. I love looking at like concert films, like, I don't know, Rage Against the Machine, Woodstock 99, or Red Hot Chili Peppers and Bonnaroo. Yeah, Slain Castle is a good one. I just love that type of energy, and it's just
I saw the numbers at Bonnaroo.
How was that? It was okay.
I went to Bonnaroo by myself because none of my friends wanted to go with me. So on this site, I've met a girl who was also going to Bonnaroo from Westchester, It's like somebody told me about this website where you can carpool specifically for other people going to the same festival. So it was rad. She was like a little bit older than me. She was like worked in some sort of medical field. She rented like a minivan just to go down there. She had everything set up. She had a fucking canopy tent. She had a fucking fridge, like a cooler that you could plug into the car, so you didn't need ice all the time. She had everything. So I lucked out.
And she just treated you like that? How about that?
Yeah, well, because she didn't want to drive the whole thing. She was also driving herself. Like she was also going alone. So I just like met I met this chick going down there, and I was going alone, she was going alone, and we shared the canopy tent. I didn't have anything, Matt. I just wanted to go. I just really wanted to go. I wanted to see the Chili Peppers. I want to see U2. I want to see Chance the Rapper.
You saw all those guys?
Yeah. I wanted to see all those people. So, and I wanted to go to Tennessee. So, yeah, I didn't bring anything. I just brought like a sleeping bag and a tent and like a backpack full of clothes. She was like, whoa, you're so unprepared, really? Like, we stopped at Walmart. She was like, no, you need to get an inflatable mattress. A sleeping bag isn't going to cut it. You need to get a chair. You need to get this. Like, it worked out. And plus, she also had like a butane little grill, so we made eggs.
Oh, that's an awesome story. Are you still in touch with this person?
No.
No, okay.
No, she was cool. She wasn't that cool.
My weekend with whoever. That sounds like a movie, Marco.
Well, we had different tents, bro.
Yeah, of course. But, that's and she drove you back and everything. And you were just like, so long.
No. She didn't drive me back. I actually stayed because in order to get this was like 4 years ago. I didn't have as much money as I do now. So in order to go to Bonnaroo for free, I volunteered to work for 2 days afterwards, cleaning the place up with a bunch of other kids.
Really?
So I lived in a tent for an entire week. The festival was 4 days. The Monday, we took a break. We all just got together. We didn't do anything. We just like, we had to relax after the long festival. And then Tuesday and Wednesday, we all cleaned up trash and whatnot. And I met some people. I'm still in touch with a lot of people there. I met a lot of cool kids. We all like had our tents in the same place. And a lot of people, Matt, leave beer behind because like, the next day they don't want it or whatever. So we just grab all the beer. We'd all put it in a communal cooler and we'd all just chill by the campfire after cleaning all day.
Now that's an awesome story.
Now people also left behind drugs, and that's when I realized the term ground scoring. Ground scoring is when I guess you're volunteering at a festival and you're looking for drugs to pick up that people leave behind.
And
this one girl thought she found Molly, and I learned a lot about drugs, I guess, because apparently this one dude was like, "No, it's not Molly." And everyone was like, "Oh, yeah."
Like Breaking Bad.
Oh no, I guess we shouldn't touch it. And I'm sure that girl still pocketed it. She's like, "Oh no, I guess I'll leave it here. Pocket." Yeah, there was a couple of weird kids in that group, man.
Man, I didn't even know that was a thing that festivals do. You could go for free, but you have to clean up after it. Like they make sure you don't like escape or anything. Like, okay, see you later, guys. Bounce.
That's why there's a deposit. You put down a deposit, and if you escape, they don't give it back to you. Yeah, it's the company. That's how it is.
I just can't imagine what a dickhead move that would be. Just run away like that. Oh man. Wow.
Yeah, I think the company is called Clean Vibes. It's a third-party company, and they help clean festivals. So
they'll do like Coachella and like Austin City Music Fest, South by Southwest, all
those big ones. Yeah, it was pretty cool. And afterwards, I stayed in Nashville for like 3 days. I went to Nashville and had the time of my life, man.
Oh man, yeah. What made Nashville the best time of your life?
Well, there's live music everywhere. Drinks are cheap, and there's so many beautiful women. Mm-hmm. And everybody was so nice, Matt. Like, as a New Yorker, as a Northeastern person, as a liberal, as a Democrat, I always kind of like look down on Southerners because I just assumed that they were retarded and like stupid and that they had sex with their family members. I'm exaggerating, of course. I don't actually think that.
Yes.
But when I went down there, I was like, oh my God, everyone here is so nice. And then I went back to New York where everyone's not nice.
Wow, that's
not kidding. That back then I don't use dating apps anymore, but back then I did. I was on Bumble like in the airport about to go back to New York. And I was swiping for fun. And I swear to God, I swiped with like the first 5 people on there. I was like, what? Well, I shouldn't say people. I should say girls.
Yeah.
But, you know, people in general, they are people. Anyway, I was like, why am I leaving? There's so many beautiful women here and everybody's so nice. And it's like, this is a really fun city. So I don't know.
So and you wound up staying just from that because of Bumble matches?
No. That was the day I was leaving. That was
Oh,
after.
okay. I see.
That was after I was partying on Broadway in Nashville for 3 days. It was great.
Man, I'm fascinated by your life. You know how to really live your best life and
Well,
just
you know
going all
that
these places and stuff.
a lot of people limit themselves. They really do. But like, you know, you have 2 feet, you have a mind, maybe you have a car and you have gas in your tank. Why not? You know, why not spend a little money and have something that like, you know, you grow from? Why not? You know, just like me, you know, I guess it was easier for me because I speak Spanish and I'm a Spanish citizen, dual citizen, and you know, but I was like, why not? Why wouldn't I live in Spain for a little bit, even if it was a really shitty hotel job, and I didn't know anybody. And you know, I even went to Bonnaroo alone because like you can't wait for people to come with you. You can't wait for your friends to say okay. If you want to do something, you just have to do it. If I needed a friend to do everything I wanted to do, I wouldn't do as much cool shit as I've done.
Man, Marcos, I really appreciate that. Very profound and just awesome words to live by. Thank you for it. I'm definitely keeping the sound bite. That's really sweet and even inspiring. I'm trying to do that myself more. That's why I do my endeavors and this podcast and this stuff is to remember that we only have one life to live. Might as well make the most of it. Memories over money is my motto.
Yes, but you want to make both.
Oh yeah, of course, but you know, like
more memories you can make.
Yeah, even more for sure.
Yeah, I've been quite bohemian in my past, and now I really I'm kind of into making money. That's why I don't play music as much because I was just like, you know, I was just smoking pot with my friends in my basement, and it was great. It was the time of my life, and I loved Harry Connick Jr. and I love those guys. Even and
that's why we love you. That's why we love you, Marcos. You know, we've been killing it for an hour. There's just one more thing I want to do with you before we say goodbye. It is known as the Proust Questionnaire. And what it is that we just answer 10 short but deep questions. And I particularly am excited for what Marcos has to say about these questions. You ready?
Let's do it.
My first question, Marcos, what is your favorite word?
Not applicable.
You don't have one, or is that your favorite word not applicable?
I don't have a favorite word.
Okay, so your favorite word is not applicable.
No.
Okay, so question 1, no answer. What is your least favorite word?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Loser, money.
Next question.
Chimp.
Next question.
Okay, what turns you on in this world? And this is more of a life question. It's not necessarily a sexual question, but like what turns you on, whether it's laughter or being around the people you love or, you know, playing music. What turns you on in this world? What brings you so much joy? Sex.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, I think a lot of people would agree with you with that, no matter what their orientation is. So, having said that, what is your least favorite word?
You already asked me that.
No. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. What turns you off in this world, Marcos?
Oh, man. I don't like bad vibes. I don't like super aggressive people that try to dominate conversations. I don't like over judgment when people, you know, think that they have somebody else or something all figured out. I hate all of that shit. I hate yeah, fuck that.
Yeah, hear that. I hear you, my man. What sound or noise do you love, Marcos? So those of you who can't see, Marcos is getting something for those of you who can't see, but all right. What's up?
No, that's it.
Just the strum of a guitar.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. What sound or noise do you hate?
Complaints, bachata music, emo, screamo.
Scream music.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Marcos, what is your favorite curse word?
Well, fuck is the most versatile word in the English language.
It really is.
I guess, no, that's not my favorite word, but I do appreciate its versatility.
All
You can
right.
add it in almost any sentence.
You really fucking can, man. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt, Marcos?
I wish I could be a rock and roller, but there's no money in that. So I have to settle for this.
Well,
maybe a financier, maybe a finance guy. Maybe I'll make a bunch of money on Nokia and BlackBerry.
Oh man.
This might be current when it airs, or it might not be. But I know the GameStop thing is like going on right now.
Yeah, exactly. The people fighting the system, showing how corrupt it is in the world of stocks. And
yeah.
Oh, mamma mia.
Yeah, fuck those guys.
Tell me about it, man. Seriously.
It'd be fun to be one.
What profession would you not like to do, Marcos?
Ooh. I don't want to get my hands dirty.
All right. No worries, no worries. And my final question, Marcos, before we have some final words. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say to you when you arrive at the pearly gates?
My dude. Brittany Murphy and Marilyn Monroe are waiting for you in your suite.
Oh, man. Classic. What an answer. What an answer, man. What an answer. Well, Marcos, I've had a pleasure. It's been a lot of fun, lots of laughs, lots of insight, and lots of great vibes. I thank you for taking the time to come on. And I'd love to hear some of those other bohemian stories and all the other cool places you have gone, and I can share you mine as well. But is there anything else you have to say before we sign off?
That's about it, my dude. That's about it. Thank you for having me. I was worried that it was going to be unfocused, but then I realized that's what podcasts are, and that's what I am. So,
Exactly,
pleasure to rant and just flow about everything, dude.
That's why I say it's not a productive interview; it's a productive conversation, and
Right.
we did everything. We did everything with that and some more. So, Marcos, you're the man. I appreciate you so much, and I'll talk to you really soon, my guy. Thank you so much, brother.
Thank you, Matt Brown.
Have a good night.